On October 9th, 1988, Nintendo of America released Super Mario Bros. 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This game was a follow-up to 1985's Super Mario Bros., a platforming adventure that started the Super Mario franchise and is currently the 6th best-selling video game of all time. Some consider Super Mario Bros. 2 to be the black sheep of the Mario family, citing the inclusion of 4 playable characters and vertical scrolling levels as reasons, as well as claiming that it was simply a reskin of a pre-existing Famicom game, Yumi Kojo Doki Doki Panic. Today we're diving into the history of this fantastic platformer. So grab your turnips and let's go. To understand the history of Super Mario Bros. 2, we need to jump back a few years. In 1986, Nintendo developed and released an arcade version of the original Super Mario Bros. Called Versus Super Mario Bros. Unlike the original game, Versus was considerably harder, with fewer warp zones, fewer power-ups, and more enemies, as well as new levels. These changes were made in order to increase the profitability of arcade machines. The harder a game was, the more likely a player would die and run out of lives. Once running out of lives, they'd either move on to a new game, freeing up the machine for another player, or they'd spend more money to keep playing. Either way, the arcades made bank. This information about Versus Super Mario Bros. Is important, because it lays the foundation for Super Mario Bros. 2. Or rather, the Japanese version, which we in the Western world refer to as the Lost Levels. Now, Lost Levels is considered to be one of, if not the most difficult Mario games ever made. In fact, this game was made due to how much fun the development team had creating new levels for the arcade game. However, due to its increased difficulty compared to the original Super Mario Bros., Nintendo of America decided not to release it. Instead, they asked if the Japanese staff could make a reskin of the game known as Yumi Kojo Doki Doki Panic, which they eventually did. The reskinning of Doki Doki Panic into Super Mario USA, the Japanese name for the Western Super Mario Bros. 2, is what leads many critics to call this game a fake Mario game. They tend to claim that because it wasn't originally developed to be Mario, it's not actually Mario. And yet, there are several reasons why this is simply not true. Most obvious is that Nintendo themselves say it's an official Mario game in the official Mario canon, no matter how poorly that canon might be organized. They made the game and they decide if it's canon. But I understand that's not always something fans agree with. I mean, I don't want Age of Calamity in the Zelda series to be canon because of spoilery reasons, but if Nintendo decides it's canon, it is. The second reason this is a legitimate Mario game is the fact that it introduced many of the most common enemies in Mario, including Bomb-Ombs, Shy Guys, and Pokies. Some may argue that since Goombas, Chain Chomps, and Piranha Plants show up in The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, then that game must be Mario canon. But that's more or less a straw man argument. Zelda games didn't introduce these enemies, they were one-off references, and these are clearly two different universes. However, I do understand that even the introduction of these mainstay enemies may not be enough to convince some that Super Mario Bros. 2 is a legitimate Mario game. So let's take a look at Doki Doki Panic's history, shall we? Doki Doki Panic was originally a platforming game developed by Kensuke Tanabe. The game was fairly ambitious, with goals of becoming a 2-player game where players cooperated and could even throw each other around. Of course, the most interesting part of this development period was the fact that the game did not actually start off as a Yumi Kojo-styled game. Rather, it was a Super Mario prototype. So what everyone refers to as a reskinned game is actually a reskin of a reskin. A Mario game turned into a game based off Yumi Kojo mascots and eventually turned back into a Mario game. What a roller coaster. But hey, sometimes it's like that. So, with all this evidence in hand, we can definitely say Super Mario Bros. 2, or Super Mario Bros. USA, is a legitimate Mario game. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content, and hit that notification bell for when we release a new video every Friday. Until next time, this is Menu Heroes.